The fall of the greatest empire, the story of Rome. Chapter 1. The city that conquered the world. More than 2,000 years ago, a small city stood on the banks of the Tiber River. It was not rich, it was not powerful. Most people in the ancient world had never even heard its name. That city was Rome. At first, Rome was nothing more than a group of villages built on 7 hills. The houses were simple. The streets were dusty. Farmers worked the land, and shepherds guided their flocks through the valleys. But something about Rome was different. The people of Rome believed they were destined for greatness. According to legend, the city was founded in 753 BC by 2 twin brothers, Romulus and Remus. The story says that they were abandoned as babies and left to die beside the river. But instead of dying, they were found and raised by a she-wolf. When the twins grew older, they decided to build a city. But power can divide even brothers. Romulus and Remus argued over who should rule. The argument turned into violence, and in the end, Romulus killed his own brother. Romulus became the first king of Rome. From the very beginning, Rome was built on ambition, power, and blood. Chapter 2. The Rise of Roman Power. For centuries, Rome grew stronger. At first, Rome was ruled by kings, but the Romans hated tyranny. In 509 BC, the people rebelled and expelled their last king. From that moment, Rome became a republic. Instead of a king, Rome was governed by elected officials called consuls and by the powerful Senate. But the republic had a secret weapon: discipline. Roman soldiers were not like the warriors of other nations. They trained constantly, they followed strict rules, and they never abandoned their formations. The Roman army became one of the most powerful fighting forces the world had ever seen. Step by step, battle by battle, Rome expanded. First, they conquered Italy. Then, they faced one of the most terrifying enemies in history. A man whose name would become legend. His name was Hannibal. Chapter 3. The Man Who Almost Destroyed Rome. In 218 BC, the general Hannibal of Carthage made a decision that shocked the ancient world. Instead of attacking Rome by sea, Hannibal did something no one expected. He marched his army across the Alps. With him were tens of thousands of soldiers and war elephants. The journey was brutal. Snowstorms, rock slides, and freezing temperatures killed many of his men. But Hannibal reached Italy. What followed was one of the most terrifying invasions Rome had ever faced. At the Battle of Cannae, Hannibal surrounded and destroyed a massive Roman army. More than 50,000 Roman soldiers died in a single day. It was one of the worst defeats in Roman history. Many believed Rome would fall, but Rome refused to surrender. Instead of panicking, the Romans did something extraordinary. They rebuilt their army. They kept fighting. Year after year, Rome endured. Eventually, the war moved to Africa, and the Roman general Scipio Africanus defeated Hannibal. Carthage fell. Rome had survived, and now nothing could stop it. Chapter 4. The Empire of the World. Over the next centuries, Rome conquered vast territories. Its empire stretched across 3 continents: Europe, Africa, Asia. Roman roads connected cities thousands of kilometers apart. Merchants, soldiers, and travelers could move across the empire faster than ever before. The Mediterranean Sea became known as Mare Nostrum, our sea. Rome was now the most powerful civilization on Earth. But power brings new dangers: ambition, greed, and betrayal. Soon, Rome would face a crisis that would change history forever: the rise of one man, a man whose name would echo through history for thousands of years: Julius Caesar. Chapter 5: The Man Who Became Too Powerful. Julius Caesar was brilliant. He was a general, a politician, and a master of strategy. When he conquered Gaul, modern France, he became incredibly popular with the Roman people. But the Senate feared him. They feared that Caesar wanted to become a king. In 49 BC, Caesar made a decision that would change history. He crossed the Rubicon River with his army. This was illegal. Roman generals were forbidden from bringing armies into Italy. When Caesar crossed the river, he supposedly said, "The die is cast." Civil war began. Caesar defeated his enemies and became the most powerful man in Rome. Eventually, the Senate gave him the title Dictator for Life. But not everyone accepted his power. On March 15, 44 BC, a group of senators made a deadly plan. They assassinated Caesar inside the Senate. He was stabbed 23 times. According to legend, his last words were, "Et tu, Brute?" And with that, Julius Caesar died. But instead of saving the Republic, the assassination destroyed it. Rome would never be the same again. Chapter 6: The Birth of the Roman Empire. After Caesar's death, Rome fell into chaos. Civil war returned. Eventually, Caesar's adopted son Octavian defeated his rivals. In 47 BC, the Senate gave him a new title: Augustus. Augustus became the first Roman emperor. The Roman Republic was gone. The Roman Empire had begun. For the next 200 years, Rome experienced a period known as the Pax Romana, the Roman peace. Cities grew. Trade flourished. Great monuments were built. The empire seemed unstoppable. But no empire lasts forever, and slowly the cracks began to appear. Chapter 7: The Arena of Blood. In the heart of Rome stood a structure so massive that people traveled from every corner of the empire to see it: the Colosseum. It was the largest amphitheater ever built in the ancient world. Over 50,000 spectators could sit inside its enormous stone walls. But people did not come here for speeches or plays. They came for blood. The games of the Colosseum were brutal spectacles designed to entertain the Roman people and show the power of the empire. Prisoners, criminals, and slaves were forced to fight for their lives. Some fought wild animals. Others fought each other. These fighters were known as gladiators. Many gladiators were slaves, but some were volunteers seeking fame and glory. The life of a gladiator was harsh and dangerous. They trained in special schools where instructors prepared them for combat. Every movement was practiced again and again: how to strike, how to block, how to survive. When a gladiator entered the arena, the crowd would roar like thunder. The fight could end in seconds, or it could last for hours. If a gladiator fell to the ground, the entire crowd watched closely. Would he live, or would he die? Tradition says the crowd and the emperor would signal with their thumbs: life or death. Thousands died in the arena. But the games were more than entertainment. They were a symbol of Roman power. Rome ruled the world, and the Colosseum reminded everyone of that fact. Chapter 8: The Emperors of Madness. Not all Roman emperors were wise rulers. Some became legends for their cruelty and madness. One of the most infamous was Emperor Caligula. At first, the people loved him. He was young, charismatic, and promised a golden future. But something changed. Within a few years, Caligula became unpredictable and terrifying. He executed senators. He declared himself a living god. Some stories even claim he tried to make his horse a Roman consul. Historians still debate how much of these stories are true, but one thing is certain: Caligula ruled through fear. Eventually, even his own guards could not tolerate him. In 41 AD, members of the Praetorian Guard assassinated him inside the Senate. He was assassinated 23 times. But the chaos of Roman politics did not end. Another